Imagine soaring over the Atlantic, engines silent, with 306 lives depending on a single decision. This is a harrowing tale of human error, extraordinary skill, and a race against time. It was the early hours of August 24, 2001, when Air Transat Flight 236 and Airbus A330-243 was preparing for a routine transatlantic journey. The aircraft, with 293 passengers and 13 crew members on board, was scheduled to travel from Toronto Pearson International Airport to Lisbon Portela Airport, a route traversing the vast Atlantic Ocean. Passengers ranged from vacationers to business travelers, all eager to reach their destinations. Unknown to them, a silent threat was lurking within the aircraft's systems. A minor maintenance oversight, one seemingly insignificant error, was about to turn this routine flight into an unprecedented ordeal. At 8 minutes to 1 UTC in the morning, the Airbus lifted off, its twin Rolls-Royce engines humming reliably, carrying hopes and dreams into the sky. The journey was uneventful for the first few hours, but beneath the calm surface, trouble was brewing. The aircraft departed with 46,900 kilograms of fuel on board, sufficient for the journey. 4 hours into the flight, cruising at an altitude of 39,000 feet over the mid-Atlantic, the first warning signs appeared. The cockpit's systems flagged an anomaly: low oil temperature and high oil pressure in the right engine. Captain Robert Piché, a seasoned pilot with over 16,000 flight hours, and First Officer Dirk de Jager, an experienced co-pilot, began troubleshooting. Initially, they suspected it was a sensor issue, as the engines seemed to be operating normally. They decided to divert to Lajes Air Base on the Azores Islands, a remote but reachable haven. However, the true cause lay in a hidden maintenance oversight. A fuel line had been improperly installed during a recent engine replacement, allowing it to chafe against a hydraulic line. Over time, this friction created a breach, leading to a fuel leak that was rapidly depleting the aircraft's reserves. At a leak rate of over 3.6 kilograms per second, or about 3 tons per hour, the aircraft's massive tanks were draining far faster than normal consumption. Despite their best efforts, the situation escalated. At approximately 6:13 a.m. UTC, the right engine failed, leaving the A330 operating on a single power source. Just 13 minutes after the right engine failed, the unthinkable occurred. The left engine also flamed out from fuel starvation. At 6:26 a.m. UTC, Flight 236 became a glider, its twin engines silenced over the Atlantic. The cockpit was filled with alarms. The cabin lights dimmed as the aircraft switched to emergency battery power, loosing hydraulic power for the flaps, alternate brakes, and spoilers. With 306 souls on board, the stakes had never been higher. Captain Piché quickly assessed their options. Now they were approximately 120 kilometers from Lajes Air Base. Choosing to attempt a controlled glide to the base rather than an ocean ditching, Piché and de Jager meticulously managed the descent. The Airbus A330 was not designed for such an extended glide, but their skill and the aircraft's aerodynamics made it possible. The glide, which lasted 19 minutes and covered 120 kilometers, showcased the crew's extraordinary control under pressure. They carefully managed a descent rate of 2,000 feet per minute to ensure they would reach the runway. As the aircraft approached Lajes Air Base, the pilots faced one final challenge: executing a high-speed landing with no thrust, flaps, and limited braking capability. At 6:45 a.m. UTC, Flight 236 touched down at over 200 knots, skidding down the runway as its tires burst under the stress. Despite the intense friction and the aircraft's heavy weight, the landing gear held, and the plane came to a stop within the confines of the runway. Miraculously, all 306 people aboard survived. The evacuation was swift but chaotic, with 14 passengers and 2 crew members sustaining minor injuries. Emergency services were on hand to assist, and within minutes, the ordeal was over. With less than 15 minutes of emergency battery power remaining, the crew had defied the odds. completing a landing that aviation experts would study for years to come. In a feat of aviation history, the crew executed the longest glide ever recorded for a commercial airliner, covering nearly 120 kilometers without engine power. Their precision and calm under pressure turned what could have been a catastrophic disaster into an unprecedented success story.